And here we go. Hello from Jersey, Steph. How are you?
Hi. That was the longest 20 seconds going into the show ever.
Well, and the coffee machine's still turning off. I was trying to have a quiet start to the
Oh.
show, but hopefully no one's hearing it. Hello, everyone. Hi, Sean, Richard, Mike, Thomas, Kev, Philip. Fittingly, we have a room full of men and a theme about
Huh.
men. So thank you for joining us.
I'm
How are you
super
feeling,
excited.
Steph? Yay, it's
I am
we
feeling
don't
good.
do men
Just a bit
enough, and we
tired.
don't get that many entries on general competitions that are men. So
Yeah,
it's good to
I
feature them.
actually yeah, I actually enjoy like looking at like photographers' portfolios because typically when I get contacted for shoots, it's just nice to see that there's like a variety and it's just not just women.
Yeah,
Because I feel like there's a like a higher appreciation if you shoot both men and women. I don't know. But yeah,
yeah, I
super
hear what you're
excited this
saying.
week.
It's actually I had well, I didn't have it. I saw on Instagram someone who's in our community who actually won one of our recent comps. I don't want to name them because I didn't comment, especially because I didn't want to be embarrassing or judgmental as someone they follow. But they were asking anyone who follows me, what feedback would you give me on my portfolio to make it better? And I looked at it and it's great, but it like 95% of the shots are, I think, their partner, or at least it's the same woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, when I'm in New York or New Jersey, then most of the stuff I'm shooting is of you. And so if he has a muse, that's great. But I do think if you look at someone's portfolio and the entire portfolio looks like it came from one photo shoot or two photo shoots with the same model, if you're trying to present that you're a well-rounded photographer, it just doesn't really match. And I kind of agree. When I see portfolios of people saying, I just care about aesthetic, I see the human body as art, it's about lines and sculpture,
Yeah.
then why is everyone a 20-year-old woman? You know, there's beauty in older people, there's beauty in different ethnicities, and you know, this, I'm not going to try and say men need more rights, but men are 50% of the population, so it does seem a little strange when someone's only photographing a certain type of woman and not shooting any men. So this is going to be the time to see some of your great shots of men, and we've got more people swinging into the room now, so great. So as always, I'll be giving you feedback as a portrait photographer and Steph as a portrait model who's been on probably more photo shoots than most of us, but just on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
I timed this one to go live today because I have just put live a new course, well, two new courses actually, over at artnudeportraiture.com, which I'm sorry I can't show you too much of the content because this is YouTube and it's Art Nude Portraiture. But I hadn't released a course there for a while, and I have a little backlog of material. And because I'm hoping to get to America soon, and I'll be creating more, I thought I would release two at the same time. So they're available to pre-order now. Individually, they're 65% off, or there's a combo, so you can grab both of them. That's actually 78% off. So you'll see the links for those in the description. One is all about photographing men, and the other is focused on a woman, but it's about using LED lighting in a bunch of cool ways. And the very first image that I wanted to show is one or two from the male photo shoot. Now this amazing physical form belongs to a lovely man I met here in Hong Kong whose name is Jimmy. He's a professional aerial instructor, so he does straps and silks and all this stuff that, you know, when you see, I don't know if you've ever seen a professional pole dancer, Steph, but they're so strong to, you know, anyone can grab the pole and just spin around it. Even I can do it. But to then be able to move your body up and down. It's basically like the ultimate body weight resistance. But then to do it gracefully and controlled takes so much strength. So you're not like jerking your way up, grunting and panting. And then the good ones are able to do it with the peaceful look on their face with their toes pointed and so on and so forth. So
Yeah. That's crazy.
Jimmy is just amazing. So these are, that's the first, and here's a couple of other shots from the shoot that is the photographing men. So we did it in two parts. One's in a dance studio and then one's in a hotel room. And the hotel one was mostly using the available light we could find in the location. The male shoot is implied essentially. Some is shot fully nude, some is shot wearing a concealing pouch type thing. But the final images we're shooting for are like this. This is the limit of the amount of nudity. Basically, no penis, no testicles, but showing his muscularity and physicality and trying to accentuate that with posing and lighting and getting rid of the distractions. And it's something else being in a room with someone like that. I was just like staring at like, what's that muscle called? How did you get that? I've never seen that bit before. Like his love handle is just a wall of muscle. Yes. Anyway, so I've got a couple there that I wanted to share with you guys, but if you're interested in that, I appreciate that not everyone is into art nude portraiture, so that's why I've separated out. Learn.mattgranger.com is one site, learn.artnudeportraiture.com is another site, so if you are or are not interested in it, that's easy. So the links below for the LED course and the photographing men are art nude, so please only click through if you're interested in that and you're in a location that's suitable for viewing that, maybe not over the Sunday lunch or something. And we've already got 6 vomiting emojis in the room. Well, I'm so sorry about that. I hope if you are a man and you're man body phobic that you have no mirrors in your house. So,
Yeah. Actually, I did wanted to ask before we start.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you think like a lot of male photographers don't shoot other males? Is it because like they don't want to look at another man?
I don't know. Let's ask the room. I don't think I'm the right one to answer that. Yeah, I really don't know. If they're, yeah, I'm trying to think of like a reason, but when I think of the counter side of it, why that would mean it's okay to photograph women but not men, I really don't know, because it's not like shooting a woman is you require sexual attraction to do it, and it's not like art nude shoots are letters to the editor in a men's magazine where suddenly things get romantic and the photographer's clothes come off. So I really don't know. Maybe it's just having not done it. It's a different challenge. It is, if you're doing implied, there is a different kind of challenge to hide men's genitals to women's. The kind of poses you can take and what you need to do to make sure everything is out of the shot is sometimes more challenging. You would know. I photographed your husband whilst you were there. So I don't know. If there's people in the room, I would love to hear it. I guess one reason may be, and AdBlue Ariel says he doesn't know any aspiring male models. Maybe that's it,
Maybe.
I would say when I put out an open casting call for anyone for a project, and it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 60, man, woman, skinny, chubby, whatever, probably the majority are women, and it's often 50, 60-year-old men who are just, as you get older, you get comfortable with your body and you don't give a crap anymore. That people at that age who may be open to try it but have no posing experience, whereas you might have more women who have the opportunity to do paid work. But it's just it may be the one industry where women have, or that and nursing, where there's a virtuous circle going on, where there's more opportunities, so there's more experienced people who are shooting, are confident to shoot, who have the skills. So then there's even more jobs. I'm just totally spitballing it, but you'd be surprised. I know a lot of people who shoot with first-time models, so having whatever conversation you had with them with a potential male model may also yield the same results. In some ways, I find it's easier because then there's no chance of things being taken the wrong way. I'm always so careful on an art nude shoot to speak professionally and keep my distance. You don't want to accidentally bump into someone when they're nude. if I'm photographing with a man and we're both straight, for example, even though I don't bring sexual energy into a shoot, it relieves any kind of hint or worry on either person's part that there's going to be something inappropriate. So, yeah.
Okay. Interesting, interesting. Because I do know of like male models, so it's like I know they're out there. Um, just curious why photographers don't typically shoot as many men. Okay.
The
Anyways,
other issue
let's get
about
into.
hiding privates, if you're doing implied, I guess, a woman most women will know how to stand in a position relative to the camera that's not going to show too much. You kind of have to take a kind of aggressive pose, depending on the anatomy of the woman, but generally speaking, that's easier to hide. For a man, even facing away from the camera, unless your legs are together, there's a potential things are going to show. So maybe if people are concerned about showing too much, that makes some reluctance for shooting men. I don't know, but I'd love to hear from the group.
Okay.
And no
Yeah.
judgments if the answer is simply that you're not confident to, or you've never had the chance, or you're not interested to, just feel free to share. We're not here to argue or disagree with anyone, just curious. So let's take a look at the images we have entered, and this week, again, because I know not everyone is into art nude photography, I'll still give you a choice if you would like the new course or my Find the Shot course over at the Non-Nude website. So our first one here from Aaron Schosso. We have 3 men and 4 mannequins, or 3 mannequins and a hat, maybe.
Yeah.
I think we have 3 buskers or musician-y type shots in this. I noticed at least 2 drummers in amongst the shots. So we'll come back. I'm seeing some comments on the question we asked before. So keep it going, guys. We'll come back to it, though. So taking a look at this one, let's just go in a little. It is a nice moment between the guys. It's kind of difficult to see where the focus is because the mannequins in the background are so formless. I think maybe just basically everything is in focus. I don't know. It's for me the interest of the shot is really the 3 men's faces. The guy playing guitar is so into it and looking at the chord he's playing. The other 2 men interacting. The one guy smoking a cigarette. Often with street photography, it's the interplay of the subjects and the scene that are making it. But I actually find that the mannequins in the background in this one are just a distraction. I don't think they actually add anything. What do you think, Steph?
I agree. I'm more invested in like the middle gentleman, like looking at the other one.
Yeah.
But the mannequins, plus I feel like maybe it's a little too bright. So it's just a lot of white.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So it's not overexposed, but maybe being the brightest point in the shot takes away from it. So if you didn't want to crop off any of the busking thing or, any of the instruments, maybe you could just bring it down to take the top row of the circles of the background out. So it brings us in a lot closer on the men. We have fewer entries than last week's landscape, so we can spend a little bit more time on each image. This one from Adrian Moss. I'm such a nerd. When I first looked at this, I thought, oh, distinguished gentleman. Oh, what's that? Oh, it looks like an omega. Okay, back to the photo.
Of course. I expected that from you.
Adrian, this, I don't know, maybe it's you, maybe it's your father, maybe it's your neighbor. It kind of looks like a shot where maybe you were testing out some equipment, got a new light, or setting up for a shoot and asked someone to sit in, because I feel like his interesting face, well lit for the face, nice dress shirt on, nice wristwatch, but then the tracksuit pants, or whatever the rest of the world calls them, sweats, and then the socks, and then, well, the t-shirt under the shirt is fine because a lot of people wear an undershirt, but I just don't feel that the bottom part of the image works, and I don't even know if really the chair even works, but I feel like there's a really nice shot here you could get of just him and the top half of his body. But if the tracksuit pants didn't have the bright orange stripes on it, even that would be better. But it feels like his outfit is like a mullet. It's sports on the bottom and work on the top. Weekend on the bottom, weekday on the top. But it is a
Oh
shame
wait, this
because
is for remote. Like this is for like, remote like work. Makes
so this is
sense.
his Zoom outfit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But shouldn't it be slippers then?
Nah, socks are fine.
Okay, well, Steph has
Yeah.
spoken. But yeah, I think there's a great closer headshot on this one. Okay, what was that? Only 2 shots, I think. Why don't you lead the thoughts on the next 2, Steph? Ben
Okay, sure.
Huron.
Then ooh, lots of bokeh in this one. Um, I feel like this is a grab shot, but it's a pretty good grab shot if it is. I would just say it would be nicer if you didn't have too much like headspace, like I guess empty space above, and actually get the full hand or even the arm as he like raises it up. Um, but yeah, I think that's my only thing. I like the bokeh.
It does look like it's a grab shot. Maybe, I know in like Kathmandu, there's a lot of folks who come up and will greet you and are very friendly and eventually hoping for a donation or something. Maybe the framing was chosen to try and get the city lights in the background in the bokeh, but I totally agree with the framing. It's difficult him being so backlit. The background's already blown out, but I think to have his skin properly exposed, you still want to come up about half a stop. And that, overall works better. I know it's difficult in that kind of a situation. You may not be able to just say, hey, could we do a 180 and you greet me again? What about Caleb?
I think we missed one.
Really?
Yes.
What one?
Uh, Basil Boras? Bas.
How have I missed one? That seems to have not imported. Was that a guy laughing in front of a white background?
Yes.
How strange, because I had an email correspondence with him, and if I sent it to you, then...
Yeah, then you should have it.
Oh, yeah, I did. I don't know what happened. I had some weird filter on. Thank you, Stephanie. Basil, my man, this is a unassisted self-portrait. Steph, talk to Basil.
Oh, really?
And thank you for
Okay,
saving
well,
that, because otherwise, in the last few weeks, I did miss one here or there. Apologies, it happens. I'm exhausted, and lucky Steph's here.
hi guys. Um, I I really like this. I love the expression. I just think maybe the white background might be too bright. Um, and then there's like, I guess, some weird feathering, like some branches or something on the right side that you might have, or maybe that's just a white sheet that you were just trying to use. Um, but yeah, besides that, I really like it for the expression. I think that this is just adorable.
Yeah, if this is really you alone in a room doing a self-portrait, I want to know what you did to get such a natural laugh from yourself. Like, were you watching a TV show, or did you think of
Memes.
something? Yeah,
Has to be
has to be
memes.
memes. On Steph's point, I don't think it's too bright in the background. This kind of a shot is typically shot fully white. I actually think you failed to fully blow it out. I think he was trying to do that, and you're right, it's a white sheet in the background. Have to say, Lightroom has gotten so good at its masking now. I don't know if you've seen this, Steph, but see if you can watch the live feed. It now has where you can subject select. It will figure it out, and there it's selected him. So it's got my default one on here. So let's exposure's fine. So we'll just reset that. Then as I adjust it, it will only adjust what it has masked, or we can invert it. But for example, it started off being really dark. So if we brought him down 2 stops, and then finish with the mask, then bring the whole shot up 2 stops, I'm basically blowing out all of that white background and getting rid of all of that crap in the sheet and just bringing him back to where he was. Then there's only the tiniest bit in the top corner, which, I mean, you could blow it even further, or you could use a brush or a linear gradient to get it out of that top corner. I think that's kind of what you were going for, but maybe your backlight wasn't even enough or powerful enough to get that out of the background. But I love the candid expression, and I also love that you set this up to shoot by yourself, and I'm giving it a pick.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say pick, but
Okay.
yeah, I really like it.
And
What's the joke? What were you laughing about?
so
That's
Basil
what I
is
want to know.
here. I was going for a textured background. Okay. Okay, he was laughing because it was so late at night. Delirium. Okay,
I
how
feel like
about Caleb?
totally understand. Oh, hello. I like the light
Hi.
rays. I don't know. It looks like he's posing for like I don't know. I just think K-pop for some reason.
Okay.
Like the glasses and like just the hand in the pocket and looking over. I just think K-pop. Um, I like the light rays. I just feel like it might be too bright. Um, like in terms of like, because your hair, it looks like it's got this weird halo effect
Uh-huh.
around your hair. Um, but yeah, the pose is nice. I think the frame is all right too. I would have just liked more of like the hand in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if anything, like maybe the lens flare that's happening on top of you is like a little, or top of the subject is a little too much. Because it kind of distracts from the person.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with all of that. This could be candid, but I imagine you just got a fashionable friend or took the effort to have them dress up. I think if you had the flair to a little bit to the left or the right of them might work better. In terms of the framing, I don't know that fully central really works here. Like if you wanted to if you took a step to the right, you could put the flare to the left of him and then have him in front of the darker part of the scene. It's still going to be getting that crazy edge lighting, which would then separate him out more. But at least we got the ring in on the bottom of the frame, but I do think it'd be good to get all of the cuff in there. This one from Chris Payden, and the first thing that jumped out at me on this one, he looks like a cyborg. What is this light streaming through his abdomen?
Yeah, I think maybe the light is too bright.
No, but then what is that wrap? Oh, that's the arm. Okay. Oh my goodness. From here, it looks like that's just a cutout in his stomach, and that his arm is actually touching. Oh, that took me a second.
Oh.
Okay, because I don't have that kind of bumpy stomach thing that guy has. Okay,
Yeah, what is that?
crazy. Oh, shut up. Your hubby has that. It's an interesting crop. Basically, I think it looks intentional. I wouldn't normally crop that at that point on the hand, but the fact that you've kept the buckle in, it looks intentional and it's an interesting crop. I personally think maybe having a little bit of light filtering through his left arm to the body might work better than the right arm to the body. That would open up that dark side of his torso. But I think that's quite nicely done. You can think about what color treatment you want on it. It looks like it's got a bit of a blue-green tinge to it. Any other thoughts on it, Steph?
I agree with that. Yeah, just the left arm is just missing for me, and if anything, that part I'm like, wait, what happened to the left side of him? It's completely dark. There's nothing. But yeah. I agree.
Pick. Let's do one more and then we'll come back and look at comments and questions. Darren Melrose. Okay, so I guess this is like some kind of athletic outfit. He's got is it compression stockings or something on? So I quite like what's going on here. You've got the couple of lights on his body giving nice edge lights, the fog in the background, and some blue on that. A couple of things I'd suggest though. One, all the color is off to the left and the right of the frame has none. So you could put a second light in there or just try and balance that out better. I do think if you're shooting people with darker skin tones, of course you want to replicate that faithfully, but I do think bringing this up about half a stop doesn't sacrifice on that. It is, however, making it more apparent that your background is lacking color on the right side, but I think it works better, slightly higher exposure. And the other thing, I think you're a little too high in the frame. It doesn't matter if you're shooting a muscular rugby player or a pretty waif petite person. Here you're his upper body looks really big and then he falls away because of your perspective of the camera. If you were to get down a little bit, I think you're going to give him more presence and replicate the shape of his body a bit more faithfully. But I think it's a really good attempt, and you could actually bring the blue back on the right side using a gradient with some blue fill if you wanted to do that. Any extra thoughts on this one, Steph?
No, I agree with everything you said. The smoke is a very nice touch.
One thing, if we think back to that earlier shot of the beefcake with the interesting crop, this is what I meant. See this edge light coming across his torso here, how that nicely opens up the darker side of his torso? That I think works really well, so that's a pick as well. Let's take a look at some questions. Some people saying that earlier shot is very GQ James Bond. Nice.
Ah, I really like reviewing these photos of men. It's nice to see instead of just constantly, women.
Yeah. Rick Mentor, in the images of Jimmy, did you shoot in black and white or color, then convert to post? I very rarely will shoot something in locked to black and white because that would mean I'm shooting JPEG only. So I can't remember those exact shots, but for a lot of them where I'm trying to focus on getting good light and shadow and contrast in the shot, I'll have my camera give me a black and white preview so I can see that, and then I can edit it later. So the ones, I think there's one coming later when he was using the silks are actually bright red. So for some of the final images, having the red there worked, but for others, just kind of eliminating the color information so I could focus on the shapes he was making and where the shadows were. It's helpful to be in black and white. Colin Cameron, for him it's just down to availability, not many male models in this area. Okay. Kevin Connery, my beauty project was 100% young women in amazing makeup. My thinking inside the box was mostly women, but I was constantly trying to get more men, and my Warriors project is mostly men. Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Sister Punk, I feel a little Y2K vibes with some Slender Man creepiness to it. I'm not sure which image that was about. Maybe the GQ one as well. Colin Cameron was asking about the GQ shot. Was that done with an uncoded older lens to get the lens flare? If you're in the room, I think it was Caleb, let us know. I don't see many other questions. For next week, Steph put it in the chat already. The theme is dramatic light, so you can enter your shot now over at mattgranger.com/live. If you guys have any other questions, please send them in. We'll come back regularly and check them, whatever your question may be on love, life, the universe, or abs. We'll do our best. Jumping back to the abs. And Stephanie, what do you think of David Kumar?
Oh, I like the collar. It's like it's very old timesy, but then the shirt's kind of not. But overall I still really like this. I would just say, actually, yeah, I don't know. I really pick.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
interesting how
Seems like it.
the collar being so pronounced and bright, it kind of keeps all of the focus on his face and the collar, partly because that's where the depth of field is ending, but partly also that's where there's a big exposure drop off with his sweater being dark and then the dark background. It makes it really pop. I do think this could look cool even at a shallower depth of field. You know, this could look really wispy and stuff if you had, you know, just the eyes in focus, that kind of a thing. On one hand, it's a really simple shot, and it's basically one interesting prop that then brings the whole shot together. But the light's quite careful, and yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes together nicely. Did you already say pick on that, Steph?
Yes, I did.
There you go. Gary Krakauer. Now, Steph, I
Whoa.
want you to put on your imagination cap and tell me the story of what was happening here.
He rocked so hard that he rocked into the other, like, I guess, puddles of water.
He's bringing the whole bridge down, I suppose.
Um, yeah, how big is this image? Because I feel like it's kind of grainy, or is that done in post?
I think it's in post, and I think it's because it's had the clarity turned up to 10,000 to try and get the water drops.
Oh, but the water is really nice, though, I have to say.
So I guess it's a
It's very
guy
creative.
who drums in the using the barrels or whatever, and then they've dropped rocks in the background to have it all go off at the same time. So if that's the case, it's, or maybe it's a multiple. I get it would be much easier as a multiple exposure. It's such a nitpicky thing. Like, I'm sure a lot went into getting this. I just, not knowing Slayer and this kind of music, and I haven't. Well, I did drumming for like a semester in high school, but I don't really know anything about it. The face isn't what I expect to be rock and roll, like in the middle of a scream or something. It kind of looks like, I don't want to say, but it looks like he's not comfortable just with the face. I think it's a really cool concept though. And if Gary is in the room, I would love to hear how you did it with the splashes in the
Yeah,
background.
that's really cool.
And
I like it.
maybe you brought the reds up in his t-shirt, which is making the pinks in his face as well. I would say just maybe don't do global clarity adjustments like that. It's making the bokeh and his arms just super crunchy. Maybe just bringing it in where you need it on the water would be more effective. Jaya Vamuri from JV Photos. So this is a guy in a park sitting on a rock. I think it's a little off level. It's a nice enough shot. It's not too distracting. The little peak of people in the background gives a sense of this guy choosing to sit alone rather than being in a crowd. The color looks a little off to me on the overall image. It does kind of feel like a grab shot. Nothing that there's anything wrong with getting a candid portrait on the street or in the park. I don't know. He's obviously really deep in thought, but I'm not sure if it's quite enough there to hold me long term. What do you think, Steph?
Um, I agree. I think also it's kind of out of focus as well. Um, yeah, I agree.
Uh, I mean, it's close to focus. What do you mean, like the rocks just in front of him are slightly sharper than his face?
Yeah.
But the backpack is also in focus. Maybe they've just used a little bit of dodge and burn to try and bring up the exposure on his face, which is giving it a soft appearance. Anyway, I wonder if that was actually taken in New York, like his cap is suggesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I should say, for anyone who is in or around New York, well, I say that, but then in the past we've had people fly over from San Francisco and other parts of the country, even Europe, to come to the New York workshop. And I remember in London, I think we had someone fly from America, and well, it's not so difficult, and loads of people come from Europe as well. But I've just put up a EOI. Well, it's an EOI in the sense of people who fill this out. I'll be contacting them first to get a chance to join the New York workshop. It's not really about gauging interest to decide if I'll run it. New York always fills up, and this will be my first workshop again with Steph in the past several years. And we're going to be changing the format up, still having a huge studio space, still having several models, but a much smaller group size. So we'll be able to spread out more, take our time more. So it's going to be limited places. So people who fill out the EOI, I'm going to, once it's ready to book, I'll email all of you and give you a couple of days to consider if the dates work for you and whatnot, to book before I put it live to the public. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I do miss face-to-face teaching. We'll have to do things a little bit differently, but yeah. Okay. Did we have any other ones here? Oh, we did have a couple. So Mike, I wouldn't do any revealing kind of shots because I'm a teacher. I would be too scared students would find photos or I'd get in trouble with my job. I would try it otherwise. So I'm not sure if you're talking about yourself being the subject or the photographer in that case, but I guess either could be. And that's something often in mine as well. Jimmy is also a teacher, so that's what led his wanting to keep the shots and video implied, because he has 18-year-old students he teaches, so he doesn't want everything on show. But performers, especially something really physical like ballet or aerial, just your body becomes a vessel basically. So other than private parts, everything is seen by everyone in the dance studio at your best and at your worst when you're collapsed on the ground. So generally dancers and performers are so blasé about their body, but it doesn't mean that they want to show every last little inch of skin. Derek Thomas, I think it's multi-layered based on personal preference. Some natural attraction which makes you more interested in models of the opposite sex if you're heterosexual. Cultural norms layered on top. I guess so. I'm sure that's part of it, and certainly if you look and think, wow, this model is beautiful, what a great portfolio, I'd love to shoot with them, then recognizing beauty may be easier for if it's the gender that you're interested in. But I'll tell you, if you are on a shoot and actually find someone attractive that you're meant to be doing a job, that's not a helpful thing, that's an annoying thing or a distraction. In a way, I generally, that doesn't come into it. And if anything, I find it a more sterile kind of an environment, because you've got, the stakes are that much higher. You need to be professional. You need to keep things, doing things in the proper way, I think. Anyway, everyone's different opinion. I'm not trying to argue against what you said. That definitely could be it. And I'm sure in some parts of the world, a man shooting a man could be seen as an odd thing that could factor into people's decision making. But at the end of the day, it's your call. Thomas Bex, my cat fell asleep on my Wacom. Well, that is very cute. Let's jump back and take a look at a few more images. Oh, I think we were still on the images. I didn't take us off. Okay. John Dalston. Now this one has definitely missed focus. In a way, I like the central composition and all of the darkness around it, because it kind of makes him feel isolated and alone. although the left looks like it's had a lot of darkness added, or maybe actually even had the frame extended to make him centered. Maybe he was originally towards the left of the frame. You know, there is an aesthetic where having an out of focus shot actually, if it looks if it looks intentional, then it can really work quite well. So maybe this kind of a shot of someone isolated in kind of a prone pose, like several inches out of focus, could be a really interesting effect. But here it looks like it was just accidental that the temple was caught rather than the face. What do you think of his position in the frame, Steph?
I actually like it centrally. I think the to me it looks like his hand is in focus more so like his fingers. Um, hmm, I don't know. I just get pandemic vibes. It's like
That's that Bo Burnham.
quarantine. Oh yeah. Um, I don't know. I really like this one though, actually. If we were to get the focus like more dead onto the eyes, I think that this would be a better shot. But yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
Wow. John Green. Now,
Oh my
I
God.
did see this one as I went through the first time. I mean, I don't know when did he shoot this? In February. So I don't know if that's a self-portrait or your friend. I don't want to. Well, there's some obvious potential statements in it that I won't put words in your mouth. But if you're in the room, John, feel free to tell us your thinking behind it. The most obvious and current reference that I can think of, I think it was just last month that lynching became a federal hate crime in America after it
Yeah.
being a thing for a century. So, yeah, I mean, there, there's so much to say on this that as a non-American, non-person of color, I don't know that I'm the right one to make a statement about it, but it's certainly incredibly powerful. And I
Yeah.
think
That's for sure.
the blue and red lighting works fairly well. I think it works well. Maybe having no, I was going to say brightening up the torso, but I actually don't think you need to. I think it makes more of a statement having the body kind of dark and lifeless, and then the star-spangled colors on his face. It's, yeah, incredibly powerful. What do you think, Steph?
Wow. Yeah, that's very strong. I think the lighting works, the framing works. I have to give it a pick. I mean, there was just a lot of work and effort into this. The message is extremely powerful. The lighting is nice. Even the expression is great too.
Yeah, and not every portrait is meant to be, a beauty trying to
Yeah.
sell clothing. It's, if anything, it's great to see some variety showing things that have more of a story or something conceptual, something that has a strong message behind it. If you are in the room, John, please tell us more about who's the subject. Did you have a specific? Was there something that motivated the shoot, or basically, what's the story behind it from your perspective? Wow, and then something completely different from John Sullivan. So I don't know how much of that has been, well, a lot of that has been done in post. I think as a final image, it's nice, but it does look like a shot that's then been had so many different filters applied and almost turned into a comic to be on the poster of a, I don't know, Harry Potter or a Comic Con convention or something. What do you think, Steph?
I agree with what you said. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm assuming that this was your goal, and I would say you executed it pretty well. It does look like a very old-timey photo with the textures and everything. I just think maybe the lighting and the edge of him just seems a little bit off to me. I'm not really sure why. This is something that's kind of like it's everything looks a little bit like it was worn out except for his edges.
I have to say, and so firstly,
Oh.
John, again, if this was the concept you were going for, then you had a goal, you went, you shot it, you edited it, you got it done, well done. Just looking at the image, how it is, I'm actually, I don't want to be too harsh, but I'm not a fan. When we say this looks old worldy, old photos didn't look like this. This looks like a photo that's had a whole heap of dodging and burning and treatments done on it to soften things out, to make it look patchy and whatever. But this to me is an afternoon in Photoshop, not really a photo anymore. It's a headshot beside a wall that's then had heaps and heaps of techniques applied to it. There's nothing wrong with that, but I would say this is an example of extreme editing rather than creative photography. But if your friend dresses like this or is into cosplay, I can totally see why they would love the shot. And Kev Drury, this is no editing shot of a similar guy who hasn't put his fancy jacket on. And this is shot in really hard, contrasty light, maybe not the most flattering angle. As someone who has a similar hairline to that gentleman, I can tell you overhead lighting isn't our best friend. It makes everything on top glow and then everything under the cheek line kind of fall into shadow. I'm very careful with my side lighting. I bring my Beyonce assistant with me everywhere. Yeah, so it looks like a candid shot of uncle or grandpa at a nice family dinner or something like that. Any extra thoughts on that one, Steph?
Um, no. Just seems like a very nice gentleman.
Just dropping in here, GR845 Photography has just left a comment, and it was his shot, the John Green American flag. So,
Oh.
in regards to the last portrait, it was a self-portrait to represent the current state of America as an African-American man, also to bring to light the hate crime aspect. Well,
Wow.
absolutely, job done. Thanks for the
Yeah.
explanation, John. Kevin Connery. Now, this has had a technique on it to make it kind of look like a Polaroid, but if you're going to go for the Polaroid look, then you'd put a fatter bottom on it. As my male model friends would say, this guy has a very Maggie look to him. He's got just the look of the kind of guy who gets published in magazines. Maggie magazine.
Oh.
With just a couple of designer tattoos here and there, the styled spiky hair and, that lean but muscular physique. A very handsome guy. I don't really like quite how tight it's cropped. I get the vibe you're going for, that he's in a box, so you want it tight. But the hand being cropped off is too much. The foot, if you want it to be really tight, the back and the foot are already like a millimeter from on the edge. I think that's enough. But I think the hand has gone too far. And then it's almost working, but it would be, I think, more dramatic if his chin was angled a half an inch towards camera, so we were getting more light across the profile of his face. What do you think?
Oh. I thought he was actually in a box and it wasn't a crop. But I think that taking this image and maybe rotating it would look very interesting. Like if he was like on his back and it just kind of gives that perspective of like, oh, he's actually holding himself up with just like the top part of his back. I think that would look kind of cool.
So that
Um,
he's crawling or that he's laying on his back?
laying on his back, I think. How do I rotate my image?
Okay. Interesting. Like that.
I don't know, just
Or
playing
what
around
about
with
on
like
his
if you
head?
have that would be wild.
Kind of is.
Um, I don't know. I think if you were to rotate it so it's not like him on his feet, I think that that would like look crazy interesting. Um, yeah, I think the lighting is nice. I feel like I would want more contrast, just because it looks like he's very lean. He has like muscles and just kind of make that a little bit more pronounced. But yeah, I totally agree with the whole Maggie look.
Excellent. Great. Yes, and the rotations are interesting as well. Marciano, he's our next drummer. So that's our second drummer and our third street performer. I mean, the rhythm has definitely caught this guy. I love the colors. Maybe the saturation's pushed a little far. But there's not really a lot to keep us on this one. It does feel like a grab shot. We can see a bit of drums or something in the background. It looks like could be New York on a street with a brownstone in the background, but we don't really get much of a sense of it. I don't know if the angle's the best on this. Maybe if you were higher shooting down so we could see what's on his shirt or something in the background that gives some context. Are you seeing anything I'm missing, Steph?
Nope, I don't think so. I would just like to know more about like what is this? Is this like a parade? Is this just like a street performer? Um, yeah.
Gotcha. If you're in the room, Marciano, let us know. And guys, please do let us know your feedback on the images as well as we're going through. Carsten Larson, isn't that funny? I've noticed this when you're having a one-on-one meeting, how if you take a certain body posture, the other people tend to follow it. I just saw this guy and then I crossed my arms. He's very persuasive. I guess in a sense he's 2-on-1. But it's something I've found lately. If I cross my arms and then you find they cross your arms, it does lend itself to everyone being kind of closed off. So when I'm trying to have a meeting where I'm trying to get to a deal, I'll try to relax that posture. And you do see that they relax it as well, and it kind of can affect the mood of the meeting. This one is maybe the same feedback we gave on the man in Nepal and the GQ guy with the lens flare, that the getting more bokeh in the top of frame has sacrificed the bottom of the frame, which was probably more important. So if you wanted as much of those lights in the background, Carsten, I would have probably gone down a little lower on him so you could keep the hands and still keep a lot of the ceiling in. Otherwise, just tilting the camera down, we still have the great leading line of lights in the background. So, for example, if the top actually ended around here or here, that would have been enough to get his hand in the shot, which I think would work better. But I do like the reflection. It reminds me of a shot that Felicia took of me for the video that's going up next week. Any thoughts on this one, Steph?
That reflection, that mirror is surprisingly like very clean. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just a sanitation comment from Steph. Excellent.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I'm impressed. Like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
No, just me? All right.
Yeah, a
cool.
little bit. A little bit just for you. This one from Mike Mina. First of all, I know I'm old, but I think Supreme is incredibly stupid, but this guy looks cool, just saying. I find the whole brand and the concept behind it, and just popping that word on something is quite stupid. I won't comment on the iced out watch. Let's take a look around it. So, lots of diamonds in this shot. I think the light used here isn't really doing him justice for two reasons. It looks like he's in shape and muscular, but I feel like the big light source used here isn't kind of doing that justice. Having something with a bit more of an edge to it, so we got clearer highlights and shadows that kind of, rather than the soft roll off, I think would sculpt him better. And if you are trying to make his bling pop, did I say that correctly? with all of the shiny diamonds and stuff in this, a bit of a harder edge light is also going to help bringing those up, being the most reflective thing in the shot. It could even be that keeping your same light source but adjusting either the angle of his torso or the angle of the light would be relative to your camera would be enough to get a better fill light, because the center of his torso and his biceps are all kind of lost. But looking at the side of his chest here, his stomach, he's obviously a really fit guy, but I don't think it's really doing his body justice. But I think it is really working lovely on his head and shoulders. As a headshot, I think this is really nice. That charming, handsome smile just doesn't seem to go with all of the rest of it in this shot. But, what the hell do I know about outfits? More thoughts, Steph?
I would love to see more definition in terms of like the tattoos. I think the tattoos look really cool. I would love to see them pop a little bit more with some like contrast. Um, and he has such a great smile. I would also love to see his eyes behind the glasses. Uh, but yeah, I think this is a great shot. Just work on the lighting. He looks baby smooth.
Nice. Thank you, Mike. Milan Medic, as always, coming in with a shot that could have been shot in any city in any decade from the past 100 years, and it's just impossible to place. I'm going to say 1960s Romania. What do you think?
What year was this taken?
Are you in the room, Milan? Are you a time traveler? I just don't get it. He gets shot. I can't even speak. Remember, he recently entered a shot of like a woman hanging out clothes that looked like it was shot in the 1800s or something.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what to say. It looks like a period photo. It's simple. You caught him perfectly in mid-stride, nicely between the two doors as a street photo. It's really nicely balanced. It works fine. Whether
Even
the fact that
like
he's
the guy's styling.
yeah.
What year is this? How did you? Is this a grab shot? No, wait.
Well, it could be just a well-timed street photo. The only feedback I'd give is, as this is a competition about men, you could replace that character still mid-stride with a woman in a dress, an old person, a young person, a couple, and the shot would still work. It's basically about timing and framing this one. But then the guy adds the question of where and when is this.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love the lines.
Thank you for confusing us every week, Milan.
Yeah. And never answering our question. What year is it?
Let's look at two more, then we'll come back and look at anyone's questions. What do you think, Steph? Pete Aitkins and the Happy Clown.
That's not a man. Just kidding. This seems like a lot of fun, and I know I have wanted to put like makeup on some of my guy friends before, especially like fake lashes, because I don't know. I feel like it's
fabulous.
just one of those things that I just think men should just try it once because of the feeling of it, and it's just interesting just to see their eyes look different with like these fake lashes. Anyways,
I don't know about the feeling of it, but when I made an editing pack of fake lashes, I went through and put lashes on a bunch of my old headshots, and I think I looked fabulous too. If you haven't seen it, check out the Jules and Lorena shoot that Johanna and I did. You'll see a whole different side to me with lashes and all of that. It does look like a fun shoot. I would like to know, Pete, is this a friend of yours? Are they a performer who dress up all the time, or was this just a one-off for the shoot? Given all of the outfits and stuff in the background, it looks like it's maybe their part-time gig. I don't know, maybe they're some kind of performer. Pantomime dame, so yeah, maybe it's a panto actor. The only missed opportunity on this one, you've got this great mirror here that's catching just the side of the dame's hair. You could have that catching a side profile, or if you wanted to get a bit meta with it, have the reflection in the mirror be him before he was done up. That could be an
I
interesting
agree.
shot.
And also careful with like the C-stand legs.
Ah, good one, Steph. But having said that, I think they're holding up the clothes in the background.
Yeah, but maybe I don't know. There's a shot here. Just I think it's better if we don't see the C-stand. You could use the clothes as like a backdrop, but maybe not see the pole if you can
Or you can see
raise
the
it.
crossbar, but then just get the feet out.
Yeah.
But pick, if nothing else, because I like his boots and socks. And we said we would come back and take questions, so let's do that now. Rick Mentor, I suspect there is not a large market for nude men. Well, if we're talking about, if, this is just an if, but if the main driving thing is who you're attracted to, half the world are women, 90% of them are straight, so there's a huge audience for your images. 10% of the world is gay, apparently, statistically, and there is certainly a lot of gay male photography shot. There's a lot of potential subjects and clients and purchasers of images as well. I think you'd be surprised. Kev Drury was saying that shot was of his father. He was 87. Raymond Lau, I'm not sure what image you were talking about, sorry. Terry agreeing he'd like to see more of the clown in the mirror. Marv Rivas asking about the workshop, what are we doing? So it's going to be a 2-day portrait workshop. We'll be focusing in with a bunch of different models, including Steph, going through different portrait techniques, indoors and outdoors, some fundamentals on the Saturday, as well as demonstrations and shooting exercises. And then there'll be time for one-on-one image feedback and review each day, and the shooting an actual project. So working with a model for, around half a day to work towards a series of images for your portfolio as well. So should be really fun. It's similar but different to the Take Control of the Light workshop that I've done in the past. This one's going to be specifically about portraiture and some more advanced portrait techniques. So even those who have come to Take Control of the Light in the past, this would be a nice next step for them, or if you already have your head around all the fundamentals, then this is a good match as well. Photo Reston is saying, will the next theme be cars? Nope, the next theme is dramatic light. Maybe the following week we could do cars. That could be fun. Cool. All right. So if you're interested in the New York workshop, Marv's, and it's going to be most likely, what did we say, the 7th and 8th of May in Manhattan.
Yes.
Fill out the EOI. I'll be seeing if we fill it completely by EOIs first, then that's great. If not, I'll be later opening it up to the public, but where it's going to be a much smaller group this time. If you have any other questions, please send them in, folks. We have about, 6 or 8 more images to look through, so let's keep going. Shirley. Okay. Beefcake. That wallpaper reminds me of a place I've shot in as well. So I don't know if it's just you need a little bit more contrast in the shot. I think maybe just slightly turning his body a little bit more to the light, or maybe better bringing the light slightly around. you're just catching the peaks of the muscles on the far side, but I think a little bit more light across the torso would work better. Flat lighting the side, you actually lose the definition there, and we're just not quite getting enough of the peaks. Putting an S-bend through anyone's body does work well. On a guy like this, you've kind of got him closing his chest in like that. If you also then had the opposite hip turning in towards the center, you can, it's the opposite. If it's someone with a physique like mine, crunching everything together just makes a hot mess. When they're so well defined, doing that, actually pushing all the muscles together, it can look really great. What feedback do you have on the pose, Steph?
Well, I don't know too much about male posing, but I would just
Oh,
say
come on,
have his
beefcake.
left arm. I would just say left arm, have it open up a little bit more when it's too frontal like that. It just kind of like bunches up, and it just doesn't look as flattering. But yeah, just be conscientious of like where the light is, and
Conscious or
I would like to see more
conscientious?
of
I guess both.
conscientious.
Big words. That's
I don't
so many
know what's
syllables for a
English
Saturday morning.
for a Friday night. um, but I would like to, I guess, see more of his face so he's not like looking down too much, unless it's like a very moody, dramatic lighting setup.
Ooh,
Ooh.
so if you
Um,
wanted that kind of a vibe, you could as simply make this a smaller light source, so move it further away or take your modifier off, bring him a bit off the wall. The hard light will give you brighter highlights, which will be catching those second, the peaks of the muscles more. It will help you darken down the background, and then this would become just like a bodyscape, basically, where we're just getting pieces of the body for information and get rid of that kind of Baroque wallpaper in the background that would probably get you around most of the feedback we had.
yep.
But, it's something I talk about a little bit in the Photographing Men series, how a lot of people approach shooting men versus women. Some people will shoot women in a really sexualized or cutesy or delicate flower type thing, whereas men, it's always, boom, here's my biceps, here's my muscles,
Yeah.
rather than anything sensual or, you know, in a very different way than they would shoot women. But there is, a market for boudoir on both sides that can be shot. You can shoot women focusing on their physicality. You can shoot men in a sensual way as well. There's no rule that it has to be one way or the other. And Sister Punk, and I think this must be
Oh.
Mike. So I guess maybe before what he was saying was about he'd be happy to pose, or he'd be happy to shoot as the model, but nothing revealing as he's a teacher. What a glorious beard. If I had a beard like that, I
I
would
know.
also Gandalf stroke it like a malevolent evil genius or something. I don't know if he just has that tanner face, but it looks to me like you've warmed up the face a
Oh,
lot,
I
which
can't.
makes the lead arm look really
Okay, I see that
cool.
everyone else can hear you.
Sorry?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay,
Hi.
I
For
think.
a second, I couldn't hear you.
Oh no, I just switched headphones.
Oh.
Like it's a fairly simple shot. One big light source coming down, lighting him. It leads to it being a little bit patchy and soft. I do think whatever the treatment is on his face, it looks a lot warmer and kind of softened compared to his arm, for example. And then if you had this kind of a situation where it looks like you had a controlled environment and you were using a light you had control of, you're already losing the background just due to exposure. I would probably have gone up to f8 instead of f3.2 to make sure you have all of him in focus, because the lead hand is actually out of focus. But it's a nice, easy pose for a man. Stroking the beard works well. Having it lifted up there means it's getting good light. Yeah, it's well thought out. The framing, I think, is good. Having a bit of space around it is always a good way to shoot it. You could bring it in a little for final presentation. The only thing will be, and I know you're in the room, Mike, so no disrespect, anyone, especially any man, if you have the foot kind of in a pool of shadow, not properly exposed, they start to look a little bit hobbity. So, just be aware of that, that you've got his feet in the shot, but they're basically falling away into the shadow. It's maybe tucking them away or just feathering the light a bit so you catch a bit more light down there. It'd be good. Any other thoughts, Stefano?
I really like it. I just a tiny, tiny thing. It looks like maybe a belt buckle or something is on the floor by your leg. It's very tiny.
I think that's like a
But I would
chain
just
for
clean
a
that up.
wallet, isn't it? It's probably part of his tattoos,
Oh,
leather, rock and roll chains. He's a bad boy, and
it's
he
because
doesn't care
it's
who knows it, Stephanie.
okay. Well, if that's the case, yeah. I mean, besides that, I think everything looks great. I think you should do more modeling.
There you go. I do
See how
actually really
magnificent
like
that
that
beard is.
Sister Punk and Mike shoot each
Yeah,
other, and we're seeing both sides
love
of it.
it.
So when I come in May, none of this like joking tutorial stuff where ha 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 the model doesn't know what she's doing. Let's actually do some projects where you can shoot me and I'll shoot you, but
Oh,
not in a silly can he model and be camp about it, and can she figure out what's a lens? Just, you know, share the love.
yeah.
Thomas Bex, and a very happy parkour guy, maybe. Nice timing. I guess that's the
Yeah.
rising sun, off-camera flash fill, the contrails going through the sky. Really nice timing with his position of his leg and everything in the frame. Think you could bring it in a little from the bottom left up, to, again, just there's not much visual information down in the bottom corner or on the left, so bringing it in brings us a little bit more in on where the action is. But I think that's pretty cool. The only thing I wish you'd submitted a high-res file so I could zoom in and show people all the detail on a shot like this. I'm assuming you were, fairly stopped down, f6.3. So probably all of the main subject is in good sharp focus. But I reckon that's worth a pick. Any thoughts, Steph?
No, it's great timing. Yeah, it's really cool.
Nice and succinct. Um,
Yeah.
just reading through your comments, please keep sending them through. We've only got a handful of shots left to review. Thomas Clemens, welcome to the gun show. What does that tattoo say?
It,
What
what the fuck is what?
is, it looks like HUMAT 21.
No, there's a question mark and exclamation point.
Okay, if you're in the
H.
room, Thomas, let us know. Is that a self-portrait? You ravishingly handsome beefcake, you. I think the reds and oranges had been pushed too far. Actually, I think just the vibrance overall has been pushed a bit too far. A really subtle backlight just to separate out your hair would be good. Often when people go for a backlight, then it just becomes overpowering and like the main light in the shot. But just a little bit, I think he would be good to get maybe an edge light on the back left side of your head, camera right. And if it is about the tattoo and not your very, very impressive biceps, then I would like to have it be a little closer in on the tattoo so it's kind of easy to see what we're reading. Unless it's just meant to be about the face on the arm, rather than the words. I like the really direct eye contact. In terms of head position, who was it? I can't remember. I'm sure I've done a video on it, but there was someone who had a name for this technique I can't think of. I think given basically with the way this is all framed up, your head looks a little small in the frame. So extending your head out like a curious turtle, putting your chin slightly up, I think would make for a more dramatic final shot. So it's not just the gun show, it's the Zoolander show as well. I like the lighting on yourself. Well, if this is you, nicely done. Let us know if you're in the room.
Yeah, what does it say?
And Mike, I'm glad you took the Hobbit feet thing as a friendly comment. It's the same when you're shooting a female model in boudoir. The soles of everyone's feet are always dirty and they look Hobbit feetish if you don't actually wash them if you have the sole of the feet, especially when you convert it to black and white. Tai Chi, who I think is in the room, and that looks like the Brooklyn Bridge in the background. Again, I'm not sure about the crop. I would either bring it slightly up so it's just at his wrist or keep it down, but overall I think it works well. I think that whatever you call it, the pylon of the bridge is the most interesting. I think you could bring it up to like a frame like that, and I think that has more impact. Brings him in on the verticals, puts his eyes in a nice powerful spot in the frame. Crazy amount of detail in this shot. You've got everything on his foot, like of him in adequate focus, and then the background just disappearing. I think maybe the file's a little over sharpened, but other than that, it's simple. I would like to know, you're in the room, Tai Chi, is this a grab shot? It looks like it could have been staged or a grab shot, but I actually think it's a nice, strong portrait that the guy would really like. So if it was a grab shot, I hope you're able to send him a copy of it.
Yeah,
Any extra
I
thoughts?
agree. Pick.
That's a pick. And Richard saying he kind of wishes he didn't have AirPods in, but I actually kind of disagree. I think it is part of the look,
I
and
like it. Yeah.
so it's so common to see people in New York or probably every city who basically have an AirPod attached to their ear the entire day, like this fucking guy. Wolfgang Harnisch. Now, Steph, put your imagination cap on and tell me, where was this taken? What was the encounter? I'm getting like, what's that director's name? The Darjeeling Limited vibes, shot on a train going through
Oh,
the mountains or something.
well, I was thinking Men in Black, the scene where they're going to the lockers. This is the people, like the little
Was
people
this
in the
before or after
lockers'
he
point of
slapped
view.
Chris Rock at the Oscars?
But yeah, I was just thinking that scene. Like it's the point of view of the little aliens. They're just like, oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Boop. I was trying to do that little memory eraser thing. I don't remember the scene you were talking about at all. So, is that a Coca-Cola blurred out logo on the left-hand side? I think it may be. I don't know. I get the vibes that it's on a train. But anyway, look, it's interesting. It does make me want to know more about the shot. It kind of, the lighting isn't perfect on his, it's not like ideal on his face, but I can't really explain why. But there is something about this. There's not much to it to go off, but sometimes when shots are really simple, you're like, okay, I've absorbed everything I can from that. Let's keep moving. This actually raises lots of questions that I want to know more about it, and I am kind of
Yeah.
studying it for little bits of information that don't seem to be there. So Wolfgang, I would personally like to know more about this shot if you're in the room.
Pick.
Okay, that's a pick. And then we have Yenra and another fairly
Oh,
maggy looking gentleman. I'll let you go first on this one, Steph.
this looks like an actor's headshot.
Exactly. And that's both a compliment and maybe not.
Oh
For
yeah.
me, it's as an actor's headshot, nicely done. The wraparound lighting is sculpting his handsome, chiseled, and versatile jawline, perfect for commercial, studio work, and brand ambassador work. Da 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 da. But it's also just, if you replace this with any subject, it's diffuse backgrounds, soft lighting, a really shallow depth of field, a head and shoulders headshot, and snap. It's also kind of a really simple shot, but every shot you need to think about what's going to work for the subject, and given his, I'm joking, but his chiseled jawline, this lighting does really work for him. The only thing would be maybe a little flick more light to the eyes, so like a little bounce card to get some up under his brows, or maybe, as Steph was suggesting, some fake lashes could really help.
Opens up your eyes.
Yeah, by dragging the bottom one down, feeling like it's got a weight on it. But nice, simple and nice, Yenra. And then the last two were just two more examples from my How to Photograph Men course that just went up on pre-sale yesterday. That's the fabric that I mentioned is actually red. So if we, actually this is already exported, so I can't switch it back now. And this was in the hotel, just working with pools of light. So, beefcake.
Jesus, muscles, my God.
Yeah, muscles. His muscles have muscles. So let's see. Do we have any questions coming in? And we'll also take a look at our picks.
A lot of great submissions this week.
Yeah, and fewer entries, but very nice ones. So thanks, guys. And we're just getting lots of people saying cool shot, pick, pick, pick. Fair enough. Let's take a look at our picks then and pick some winners. So as I'm going through these, the theme of men leaves it pretty wide open. You have about 4 billion subjects that you could choose for your shoot. So then it's got to be what works overall as a great image, how the elements are all coming together. And I do always like to reward a shot that has taken some care and effort rather than just a lucky happenstance. It's politically charged, which naturally is going to divide people, and some people will be shocked by it, some people instantly drawn to it or pushed away from it. But I think I have to choose John Green one for that new bill going through last month. This is a self-portrait, so it's a powerful representation that I think anyone in America or anyone following America, the politics and what's gone on in the past few years, could understand the messages. But this isn't a creative team putting together a think piece for the cover of Time magazine. This was John shooting something that meant something to him as an individual. So you can't argue with that. And it is well executed. So that's my winner for this week. How about you, Stephanie?
That was my winner.
Well, that's fine. I'm glad we agree.
Okay.
If you had, do you want to choose a second one, or we'll just make him the winner? Is also fine.
It's really hard to choose a second one, so I'm going to stick with John Green. It's the one that's like, it just sticks with you.
Then I'll choose a runner-up if you don't want to choose a runner-up. Well, not a runner-up, a second winner.
Thank you.
I don't know. Now I'm split between three. I shouldn't have put myself in this situation. Okay. Well, then that's our winner, but I'll name a couple of... No. Let me finish, woman. That's our winner, but I'm going to choose a couple of runners-up that are just like highly commended, not prize winners. And that will be Thomas Becks and Pete Aitkins with the Pantomime Dame. So thank you both, and thank you everyone who entered. We had some great entries this week, as Steph said. So next week our theme is going to be dramatic light. You can enter your shots now over at mattgranger.com/live. Yeah, thanks to everyone for submitting. What have you got on? Did you get punked today at all, Steph, for April Fools?
Oh, no, I've basically been like this MIA with everyone. So, yeah, didn't get a chance to get fucked. I did consider pranking everyone else though, but since our last prank, I didn't want to get people like mad at me, so I was like, maybe I shouldn't. I did a shoot for a commercial where I had to play a role of a pregnant woman, and I got photos from that. So I was like, ooh, maybe I'll post those up. But
You so should. Maybe too late now.
no.
Oh well, too bad. Um, yeah, fun. Hoping to see.
Did you get pranked?
No, but so it's actually the second here now. But
Oh
April
yeah.
1st was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. So that was
Oh,
nice.
that is
I
nice.
was kind of hoping that they would prank us that, like, haha, we never signed the documents. But no.
A 50-year prank? Holy
I
crap.
know the commitment would be amazing. I'm hoping they're actually now going to hold out till 60.
That would be amazing.
Right. So thank you all for entering. Thank you for the feedback on all of the shots. If you didn't see it, check out the video we put out last week. It was a really nice one comparing some long lenses. If you're interested in joining Steph and I in New York, there's a link in the chat, which I'll try and put in the description as well. It's just mattgranger.com/NYC 2022. Yes, I'll put it in the chat right now. You can fill out the EOI there. Once the course is publicly live, if it's not full from EOIs, then the information to book it will also go up there. So we're just going to make sure that the whole trip is going to be feasible and work out, because I'm going to hopefully hit a couple of different countries on that trip. So make sure everything lines up, and then I'll actually put it live. I don't want to take bookings and then realize that something doesn't work. So it'd be good to see you finally, Steph. Hope.
I know, it's been forever.
When was it? Like July, August last year? Maybe?
We talked about this like the last show too, and we always keep going like blank. I'm pretty sure it was like June of last year. Yeah.
Let's see. These shots were taken in, because this was I'm just now looking at a shoot that I did in LA before I came to see you. And that was taken when? This is not interesting for anyone. The 10th of the 6th. So yes, and then I came
Oh,
over
June.
just after that. So it would have been probably middle of June. So yeah, it will have been almost a year. My goodness. So that'll be fun. Anyway, this is now dragging.
All
Thanks,
right.
Steph. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. See you next week.
Thanks,
Ciao.
guys. Bye.